Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching, and don't do the touching. So a few days, a few days ago, prominent Snyder Cut fan and dceu fan John Aaron Garza did a little video. He changed a few things. It was kind of meant to be a new opening for the Justice League movie, and Screen Rant have spoken all about it. Justice League fan intro adds new Lois voiceover, Superman tributes. While it's not just, hang on again, while it's not yet the long hoped for Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, a DC fan has assembled a new opening sequence for the film. The scene not only restores credits to several actors whose roles found themselves left on the cutting room floor, but also brings in audio from other projects to help set the somber tone for the post-Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice DCEU. The opening scene of Justice League, it was released to theatres, featured a mobile phone video shot by two young children eagerly interviewing Superman for their podcast, from Superman explaining his S-shaped symbols, meaning to whether he had ever fought a hippo. The film cuts to Batman fighting a criminal on a rooftop. It takes a full 5.5 minutes of screen time for the film to get around to showing the effects of a post-Superman world. Both of the initial two scenes were written to be comedic by Joss Whedon, who had taken over as director from Snyder late in production. It was only after a light-hearted opening that Whedon settled into a more somber tone. That's Joss Whedon. That's why Kevin Sugihara brought him in, yes. I think we know by now that Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder are not mates. Zack Snyder didn't bring in his mate to finish off the film for him. It's basically a studio decision because they changed so much. Outrageous. Enter YouTuber and former DC Films Hub writer John Aaron Garza. Garza had previously written about how he had felt Snyder was pivoting away from the contemporary mid and post-credit scenes to the comic book tradition of the following film, recapping the last events of the prior installment. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice opened with Bruce Wayne seeing the end events of Man of Steel from his point of view. So Garza imagined a suitable opening for Justice League being Lois Lane's perspective on the end of Batman v Superman. Check out the video below. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the audio of this because it's pretty cool. So let's try this.
We are so bound by time, by its order. Memory is a strange thing. It doesn't work like I thought it did. I used to think this was the beginning, and this was the end.
The death of Superman. It was the case of what the superhero was playing around. I thought nothing could kill him yet. Certainly the man is convinced by his many friends and fans.
But now I'm not so sure I believe in beginnings and endings.
Oh, the goddess remember him as a strong man, yet very gentle. He was noble, strong, courageous, a Superman.
I think I'll remember him best as a friend, because that's how I know. Not as a hero, but as someone who I thought was. I think I'll probably remember him mostly as a wreck from the tragic and kind of misty-eyed, you know? Well, what can you say? The greatest superhero ever.
Superhero able to call buildings in a single bound. Surely he won't let death be his final chapter.
Nothing is sacred. The Man of Steel is proven as vulnerable as the immortal
This is really quite traumatic hearing ABC.
Superman's been a cultural figure, and really epitomizes, the best in everybody. Apple pie, the American way. And he is the hero to millions of people. Superman.
I feel like everything that happens comes down to the two of us.
I'll take that as a yes.
What?
The ring.
Amazing morning after the death of Superman. Violence, acts of war, and terrorism are all on the rise.
So that's a pretty awesome video, isn't it? It really is. That's amazing, and congratulations to John Aaron Garza for doing that. So anyway, this Screen Rant article continues. Borrowing elements from other sources, Garza has combined pieces together to set the grief and sadness not only of a world without Superman at a high level, but also the very personal sadness and loss being felt by Lois. He uses some of the Amy Adams dialogue from 2016's Arrival as a voiceover to express to her inner monologue. For the music, Garza intermixes two tracks, Dark and Coda, from Hans Zimmer's Dark Phoenix soundtrack. Among the touches added to this new introduction, the scene's credits also restore the names of actors who originally had been in Justice League before Whedon's retooling of the film, including in the nods were Ray Porter, who plays Darkseid, and Nick McInnes, who played Ares in the history lesson. Both Darkseid and Ares were to have appeared in a flashback sequence battling out with each other. How awesome would that have been, eh? Very awesome. Seeing fans take the various clues that have been dropped by Snyder around what his original vision might have been and begin to create what they think it might have been like is exciting. It takes aspects of fan fiction to a new level, moving from the more typical text-based form of interpretation to something that can be viewed in the way it might have been actually presented. Fandom continues to lean on Warner Brothers to deliver on an official blessed release of Zack Snyder's director's cut of Justice League for the studio. To eventually relent isn't without precedent. Since in 2006 they did allow for the release of the Superman 2 Richard Donner cut. It's a really different situation because Warner Brothers were kind of the distributors, but they weren't very involved in the big decisions. That was a Salkind baby, and it was the Salkinds who never wanted that version to see the light of day. And once they weren't involved anymore, Warner Brothers allowed it because it didn't bother them. So this is a really difficult to release the Snyder cut. It's down to Warner Brothers. It was their mistake that led to this, and this is why we haven't seen it yet. See, a real Snyder cut remains to be seen, but for now, the likes of Garza and his efforts will keep the imagination alive. That very, very good article. John Aaron Garza made a great video. You listen to it, and it's just there, the emotion. And we are so desperate to see this Snyder cut of Justice League. Nobody knows if we're ever going to see it, but I think the dream, the hope, the faith that we'll see it one day is driving us on because we know what we were robbed of. It was pure robbery. We were going to see an amazing film, and we didn't. We didn't get to see it. We were going to sit in cinemas chomping on popcorn, seeing something quite amazing. And, a conclusion to this story maybe because Zack wasn't going to get the opportunity to do his Justice League 2 and his Man of Steel 2 movie. So you kind of look at it, and it was massive. It was a massive event. I was so looking forward to it. The way they plugged those trailers, they left scenes in there that they cut out of the film. It's odd. And one of the most amazing emotional scenes for me is, I take it, that's yes. That's a brilliant scene. Henry looks amazing. That's the real Henry Cavill. No CGI, nothing like that. It's a beautiful scene. And we never got to see it in Justice League. And of course, there's more epic scenes we never got to see in Justice League that Snyder shot. But I think it just goes to show you, what it goes to show you is that, why did these people, why did Sujihara go and make this decision? And it was Sujihara. It was. He took something so important away from us, and he took away Zack's livelihood. He said, I know you've worked hard. Go away. Imagine that. You've worked on a project for all those months. Got to be over a year, right? And then you're told, do you know what, mate? We don't like what you're doing. Bye. Oh, and by the way, we've got an excuse ready for you. You're going to use the death of your daughter. No, I don't want to. You've got no choice if you ever want to work in this industry again. And that is how this industry works, my friends. So we keep on fighting to release the Snyder Cut. And one day, my friends, we will win.